Hello, 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 beautiful people, and welcome back to Career Gems for the Journey, where we are talking about layoff to liftoff. I am Leah Murphy, the CEO of Career Gems for the Journey, and I'm excited to be back here with you all today. So, we have been in this series, Layoff to Liftoff, for a while, and I am feeling like it is absolutely the most relevant and important time to be having these kinds of discussions. And you have responded in kind. You have responded to confirm that you need or you're thinking about this transition that a lot of people are experiencing. And even if it's not you right now, that you may be able to help someone who is navigating a layoff or a transition. So I am grateful to be able to be in this space with you. And thank you so much for everybody who is joining me live. If you're with me live, please do drop your city in the chat so I know who is engaging with us, who's with us in this very moment, because I appreciate the energy that you all continue to bring in the chat. And if you're listening on the replay, I love that for you. I love that for me too. Take full advantage of being able to share this with anyone who you think could benefit from understanding or having some insight into the job market as it stands right now, because this is what I see and this is what I believe is happening for 100% certainty that it's happening to a lot of people. Who, when, the how, those are a little bit more detailed and specific based on your individual needs. But we want to make sure that you have thoughtful and informed information as many of you are navigating transitions. And I mentioned this on a previous live that I've absolutely navigated a layoff myself. And this place that it holds for me personally is this idea that we're all human and we're trying to figure out what makes the most sense for us. And layoffs can be a big hit to our confidence or to our stability or to our job trajectory and the way we thought our career would go. So as we're all navigating our career journeys, they're individual and they're unique, but we want to talk specifically about tactical networking inside of layoff groups, because that's where we are at this stage in the process. Before I jump into this, you will see, I need to make sure I'm on the right side. Somewhere around me in the perimeter here, you will see the QR code to join us at the Career and Care Summit. I absolutely think that this discussion around layoffs and tactical networking will make it into the Career and Care Summit in more detail. But let me just tell you a little bit more about it. We are getting together on March 21st in Philadelphia in person, and it is really a culmination of last year's events at the Career and Care Summit, and we're bringing it back for our second annual, and it really focuses on navigating the needs of women in their second act of life. And we're doing this in celebration of Women's History Month. So we're specifically focused on women, but lots of what we're talking about today and in our previous lives applies to a broad audience of people. But we'll be coming together in person in celebration of Women's History Month at the Community College of Philadelphia on March 21st, 2026. If you have ever had any experience with the content that we've put out at Career Gems for the Journey, you absolutely want to be in the room for an in-person, fully engaged community building experience, maybe even some network tied to those who have navigated layoff at the event. So tickets are available right now on sale. Early bird pricing is around until the end of the month of September. So you want to grab your tickets today. It is going to be an amazing in-person, intentionally curated event specifically for professional women navigating their second act of life. We're going to go from everything through menopause and mammograms, and then we're going to take it all the way through to networking and executive presence. So you absolutely want to be there, because this was designed specifically with the needs of professional women in mind. So I got that out of the way. Now I need to make sure I get directly into the content for today. So we have been talking about the layoff to liftoff. And as I think about the last episode, we really worked on building your bounce back brand. And the bounce back brand, I like a little alliteration, is very important because it really talks about your self-talk as well as the tools that you have at your disposal to make sure that you are reconnecting and showing up in a way that is going to get you the exposure and the connection that you're looking for. So today we're talking about how to use that brand and to do that in your layoff community, and how you can land networking opportunities. You can also land job offers, interviews, any kind of thing that will guide you closer to your next opportunity. It also just gave you insight into what other people are experiencing so you don't feel alone if you're navigating a layoff. So this is about tactical networking inside of layoff communities, because lots of folks talked about the high level, the strategy, the broad, you need to build a relationship, your network is important, but what are you supposed to be doing? What actions can you take in order to make this happen? So I want to help to cover those bases, because we're talking about real world examples of how people are landing jobs from strangers, honestly, in Slack groups, LinkedIn threads, Reddit DMs, covering the basis. We're really trying to make sure that folks understand that we can use these platforms for their highest and best use, which is to bring people together, to create communities, and to solve problems. So I wanted to just make sure we anchored this in a little bit of facts and data. There is a lot of research out. CNN just did a long segment on navigating the real information and the data behind Black women leaving or being pushed out of the workforce. Over 300,000 Black women have been pushed out of the workforce since the beginning of 2025. It's a very jarring statistic, but I want to make sure that we understand that there is a real thing that's happening. These tips, these ideas, these strategies to meet the needs of those populations are exactly what I would have wanted when I was navigating a layoff, or when my husband was navigating a layoff, or when anyone in my network was navigating a layoff. And just to make sure that we feel like this applies to all folks, American workers generally, right? So we talked about Black women specifically, and as a Black woman, I have a personal connection to making sure that folks feel like we understand what is at stake. But more generally, American workers' confidence in finding a new job, if they lose the position they currently hold, has hit a record low. So according to a new poll released on Monday by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, the perceived probability of finding a new job in the next 3 months has dropped by 5.8 percentage points. So it's this idea that the Federal Reserve Bank started measuring these, and I'm just testing my brain to make sure I get you guys the right data. The Federal Reserve Bank started surveying households in 2013, and this is the lowest confidence level that it's been at since 2013. So it's really an impact to our broader economy that we're seeing, and layoffs are a part of that. Corporations are going to make conscious choices in order to protect their bottom line, and layoffs, transitions, mergers, acquisitions, all of those things require us to have a good understanding of what we would do when change comes upon us, even if we didn't initiate it. So let's break it down when we think about tactical networking. So first, I want to make sure that we're clear. We are not cold calling. We are not cold inboxing people on any platform. Oftentimes, you're going to get ignored. So I want to make sure that you think about being really intentional on how you approach getting into the tactical networking. So it's not, hi, we've never met before, can you help me find a job? It's finding something that is of mutual value, making a specific ask, leading with connection, and allowing the other person to perceive the connection as valuable also. So when I say finding mutual value, if you're reaching out to somebody on a platform, assume that you have already done the work to read what they're posting about regularly, commenting on previous posts, if they are an author, if they are a recruiter, if they are a inside of an organization who is in a function that you want to get into, make sure that you actually have done the work to read their profile, you know what they do, you know what asset you're making. To do a cold call or a carbon copy ask to folks who are inside of an organization often just means you'll be left unread. So I want us to think about tactical networking in a way that is actually going to move the needle. So we want to make those connections. It's about strategically engaging with people who are in a position to help, but also positioning yourself as helpful too. We talked before, you have something of value to offer a new organization, and it's a matter of how are you thoughtfully telling that story in a succinct way. We're not doing long resume posts when we're doing these kinds of reach outs, but we do want to make sure that we're thinking about you identifying what value you can bring to the individual, or you've done the research to make sure you're well informed on who they are digitally and what they do. So layoff communities make it easier because they really lower the barrier. everyone has been where you are. So there isn't this kind of strange curiosity about what's happening outside of the walls of an organization. It's we've all experienced layoffs or transition. So we want to make sure that we can help one another, even though we're strangers. So one of the biggest layoff community wins is referrals by people that you just met online. So it works because layoff groups tend to build trust fast. It's very much you're one of us. We're all in the same boat. We need to work together and build community in order to overcome the barriers that the system has created for us. So people want to help because they have been helped. Oftentimes, that's the main motivation. So referrals can bypass traditional job portals and applicant tracking system filters. And that's really important because we understand that applying online is a necessary tactic, but having a direct referral makes a huge difference in your resume getting in the hands of the right people inside of organizations. So here's how it happens. Someone may post a job, and I'm seeing a lot of really thoughtful, intentional posts from people in my own network around roles in organizations that they are not interested in personally. So they're not interested in it for themselves, but they want to make sure that they share roles or share opportunities as they come up because they feel like it's the right thing to do and they want to help. So they may say, my company is hiring for a data analyst. You respond with a tailored message, with an intro, they forward your resume, and then they let you know that they're going to refer you, right? So it's those kinds of interactions that I'm seeing happening on a lot of platforms. And I absolutely love that people are just building community for the right reasons, just because they want to help folks find a job. So oftentimes when you share that you're interested in a role or that you're trying to move the needle in getting your next opportunity, folks will then be able to go and take action and say, let me do some research, reach out to some people in my network, I'll get back to you, right? So it multiplies the idea that other people are going to be keeping you in mind for opportunities when they come up. So here's a tip that I like to remind folks of. Keep a spreadsheet of people that you've messaged or people that you've reached out to in any way so that you can follow up with them, but follow up with them in what is a reasonable time frame. So track the person, track the organization that they work for, and also track when you reached out to them. I understand that there can be a lot of trepidation and hesitation and even some fear, but we want to give people a respectful amount of time to be able to follow up or to be able to help us. So I like to say, reach out to folks at most once every other week because they still have a full-time job that they're navigating in their own life. So as much as they want to help you, giving them a couple of weeks to be able to do what it is you're asking them to do, or giving them a couple of weeks before you follow up is just an appropriate courtesy. So I want you to figure out how to make your ask as strong as possible. And that comes with clarity and kindness, right? We just want to treat people well. We understand that no one owes us anything, but we're hoping to build community so that we can then benefit from the community and contribute to it. So you can say things like, I saw your post on this platform in this community group, and I wanted to connect. If you have time or if you're willing to connect with me, I would really appreciate it. We could do a virtual coffee. We could do a virtual meeting, and it could take 15 or 20 minutes of your time. I was recently laid off from this organization. I'd love to learn more or hear your advice about what it would take to get referred. It gives folks an opportunity to understand the position that you're in and to opt into helping you. But that's it. You're not dumping your resume upon someone immediately. You're not giving a super long backstory, just specificity and clarity so that they can opt in to helping you and support you. So that is the way that you start your tactical networking approach for folks, because you want to make sure that even if you are in a group, a large group of people, that you're making sure that you're thoughtful and considerate and keeping the community guidelines centered and not creating an environment where people feel overwhelmed or feel spammed. Because the reality is that feeling is almost an automatic opt-out for a lot of people. So you can also do a public post in these platforms, in these Discord groups, on these Slack channels, you name it, to say something like, I'm exploring new opportunities in a specific field. I'd love a warm introduction to folks that you know at the following companies. I'd be grateful for a connection. And when I say the following companies, you can make a list of the 3, 4, 5 companies that you are interested in, that you're pursuing a role or opportunity at. And then someone can opt in and say, I know 1 or 2 people at that organization, or I don't know anyone in that organization, but I'll keep my ears open. Again, we want to multiply the number of people who are looking for roles or looking for opportunities on your behalf. If you can include a resume link to a Drive file so folks can click on and get your resume whenever they need to access it. If they're interested, make sure the Drive link is public, make sure that it's accessible to anybody who has the link, and then you can leave that link that other people can then click on and get what they need. So I also encourage you to end with a clear next step. If there is an opportunity, if there is something that could work based on what I'm looking for, then would you mind DMing me or drop a comment below, or my email address is. So if you're clear that you're asking for a next step, you're asking them to take an action on your behalf, also be really clear about how they get in contact with you and how they could connect with you. So the other thing that I'm seeing happening in these layoff communities is mock interviews where folks are getting a chance to dust off their interview skills. A lot of folks have been separated from organizations that they've been with for a long period of time, so they may not have interviewing at the top of their strengths list. And oftentimes that's what happens when we're in an organization for a long time. So no shame in the fact that you haven't interviewed in a while and you want to practice with folks in the layoff group. It's actually a smart way to use those resources and individuals. Now, I would also encourage, for those of you who are still currently employed, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Periodic, just testing the market, interviewing, having an opportunity, even to mock interview with your peers, is something that allows you to stay sharp. So for many of us who sat inside of organizations for years and maybe didn't interview regularly, offering an opportunity or leveraging the opportunity to do mock interviews can be a real game changer in building your confidence. You can also swap salary negotiation tips. You guys know I'm big on salary negotiation compensation. The market is different in 2025, so the range and the depth of negotiations seems like it has shifted much more to a company benefit. So we know that there isn't as much flexibility in negotiation when a job market is this tight. But I still encourage you to ask the right questions around where there are opportunities for negotiation. If it's not tied to base salary, it may be tied to flexible work. It may be tied to performance bonuses. It may be tied to professional development dollars. There are still varieties of non-monetary ways that you can negotiate a better package for yourself when the opportunity presents itself. So here's why it matters. It matters because gestures and thoughtful approaching for people on these social media platforms is actually uncommon. So you will stand out if you are being thoughtful in your ask, you are being kind in your approach, you are reaching out at a cadence that is appropriate or sustainable. You will stand out. You are more likely to get people to say yes when you approach this tactical and thoughtful way. So you get a chance to have conversations with people inside of organizations. You're hearing what hiring managers are talking about. You're hearing what they think, and you don't feel alone in this preparation process. That can be the real benefit of navigating layoff communities and doing it tactically to be able to get direct introductions, referrals to people who are inside of organizations. Even if the role that is open at the moment does not materialize for you, you still have better information about what's going on in that organization and what the potential for your future is there. So a secret tip, a gem, if you will, to networking is, even if you are in transition, offer to do something in kind, offer to promote the post that they have posted recently, offer a comment on their post, support the work that they are doing on the platform so that you are giving some value intentionally as you are extracting value. These things are just small gestures that signal that you're thoughtful and considerate of what they are navigating, right? Where their priorities are, as well as asking them to support you in meeting your needs. So small acts of generosity, of thoughtful engagement on the platforms can make a big difference in building relationships. There are tons. I can probably count 50 different people that I sincerely have met strictly on social media platforms, and then we've come off the platform and been able to do something together, whether it's refer each other for work, whether it's collaborate on a new opportunity. We can have these digital connections transform into in-person real life connections if we do it right. So think about what you could do to be able to give back or contribute to what they're doing so that you can make sure you feel like this relationship is reciprocal as you're making an ask. So you don't need a massive network to land your next role. You need the right people, the right message, and the right follow through. And I'm going to pause here for a second on follow through because I think this is the part that oftentimes gets lost in the sauce. I feel like a lot of people are doing a good job on it now, but it's worth restating. Very thoughtful, considerate follow through that is time based, giving folks 2 weeks on average to be able to take an action on your behalf is huge in your follow through. Making sure that you are consistently tracking the information that you are looking for or that you are trying to receive and not blasting or redundant in your communication can be huge in your follow through. Making sure that you send messages on multiple platforms, if that is somewhere you have access. If you send them a note on LinkedIn, but you also have their email, it's totally appropriate to follow up on both platforms. But your follow through and your follow up is going to be the difference maker as you're navigating this season because people are busy. People are distracted and they want to help, but they have their own day-to-day that they're navigating. So they want to help you, but it's on you oftentimes to make sure that that follow through, that follow up happens consistently and that you take the right action. So the key today, the gem for today is tactical networking isn't transactional. It is very intentional and it's thoughtful. And if you act with intention as you're navigating this layoff season, this transition in career, it can make a huge difference in the response that you will get and the support that you can leverage from the communities that you're already a member of or communities that you will go to join here in the future. So this is our final episode coming up next week. This layoff to lift off has been cathartic for me, honestly, as someone who wished I had some of these gems available to me when I was navigating my own layoff season. So the next time we'll talk, it'll be how to build your career circle. So taking from your existing network and really cultivating a thoughtful career circle, a group that you can rely on for support, for growth, for long-term accountability. Now, some of that may include an opportunity to work with a professional coach, but some of it won't. So I want to make sure you feel clear that both are options for you on the table and both can be a tremendous benefit as you're navigating this layoff season. So until the next time we are together, please continue to make your journey work for you and continue to build community amongst each other. We are in this together, and if we can work together for the foreseeable future, I believe that there's real potential that we can overcome the obstacles that we are navigating. It requires us to be in this together and on this journey together. So until the next time we're together, I will see you next Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm looking forward to it then. Take care.